Right here.
Okay, so I call this special meeting to order on Wednesday, April 15th at 6 p.m. Maddie will now do roll call.
Councilmember Olivares,
Here.
Councilmember Sotelo. Believe she's running late. Councilmember Alvarado,
Here.
Councilmember Zavala,
Here.
Councilmember De La Fuente,
Here.
and Mayor Gonzalez.
Here. So we will start with new business. New business A, discussion of the first quarter V financial report. Who would like to start?
So,
Is anybody have a question? Do we? No. Hmm?
I'll go.
You are? I had a question on page 1.
Mayor salary. How come that hasn't changed? Why are we still 21,420? When it should be like 12,000,
It was budgeted, this is what was budgeted for 2026.
so we can't change them,
Well,
no?
That's not what was spent.
yeah.
That was just what was budgeted, because that's where we were at last year when we. The decrease didn't take effect until January when Mayor Gonzalez took office.
And then I had another question on the same page, council supply. We already spent $422.49. What did we buy? That we don't know.
That's 2025.
Was that just a?
No, I think she's right here, actual.
I think it's nameplates.
It would have been your name, the name tags and nameplates.
I understand we have new name tags, do we?
Yes.
That's what was purchased.
Okay, on page 4. The animal control dog tag. We have a credit of $1.05. Why is that?
I asked the same question and that's one thing that we're gonna have to audit. I didn't have a chance to audit before when I pulled the information. There was a credit that was issued to somebody, but it shouldn't look like that. So that will change. Somebody told me.
Does that go for the same thing on page 7 for the cemetery utilities to third power? We have a 4-cent credit.
Sorry, what page did you say?
7. It's like the second line.
Yeah, I will pull that information.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be like where maybe, we entered a number wrong, and so, it comes up that we have a 4-cent credit. So.
So my other question is, these vehicles we have, do we have certain vehicles for the cemetery, certain vehicles for? Or how is this? Because right here it says cemetery vehicles maintenance repair.
The,
It's on page.
no, so the way that it is, been calculated for years, is my understanding, is when a public works vehicle goes in for maintenance, the cost gets allocated to each, so it gets divided between each department.
Oh, okay.
Because they are all over the place, they're not all generally in one department.
Okay, page 8, the water office supplies, is this like your guys' drinking water, or what is this, that we already spent $243? Is that your guys' drinking water?
Water office no, for them, it would be if they needed something for, Terry had a separate office in,
Oh,
yeah, that's their department, the water department. And Terry had a separate office, so he would get supplies for over there.
okay, now it's on page 11. The garbage. I'm not understanding overtime, are you paying garbage for overtime? And is there benefits? We don't even have the garbage truck. We don't have employees for the garbage.
Again, that,
Waste is that.
we had that conversation before, where the wages are being allocated to each department. There's a specific allocation algorithm that was set up. But I am reviewing them, and those will be changed, and we will go back and do journal entries to correct the first quarter. But right now, the way it's set up is each public works individual, their time is allocated to each department. So it just by a percentage. And right now, that's the only way that we can do it. So, but we are looking at changing the percentages to show a little more accuracy.
You done? Yeah.
It won't be a while. Let's say as that right now, we could be here for a bit. There's a lot of things on here that we need to talk about. Let's start with this one.
Give us a page.
It's not on the page. The website, the MAPTA website is supposed to be informative. Informative information for the public. Yes. Why wasn't this information put on the website? Why wasn't these finances put on the website? If it's supposed to be informative. This to me is being informative to the residents of Mapton. For the ones that maybe are on the computer right now, or maybe are watching it right now. They should be able to have access to this information just like we do. But it's not on there.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
it's on the website. The packet was published on the website.
It's supposed to be on the website for 24 hours before this meeting.
It was.
And it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I looked it up. It wasn't there. I looked it up yesterday, it wasn't there. I looked it up this morning, it still wasn't there. But anyway,
Is there like a receipt when you?
I can do a timestamp and show, yep.
I wonder. You know what? We're gonna do this first. And then I'll go to the items. I don't appreciate the whispering. I really don't.
I'm not gonna talk out loud, Ruben, so you tell me to shut up.
Okay, guys, we're not.
I know, it might be whispering, I
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
hear her.
That's right.
I don't know who's Is that microphone on? Can you turn that on?
I think it's this.
Is it yours?
Yeah, mine's up.
Mine's on.
The people when I see on YouTube, they say they can't hear now.
It might be Ruben's. Right, it might,
I heard my mom.
Oh, I think it's yours. Who is it wrong? Yeah. Yeah. That means,
I was going over these numbers today. And as of right now. The expenditures, according to this information on here. The expenditures are at. $911,026.74. According to this information right here. The revenue. Up until now. Because this is the first 3 months of the year, right? This information right here. Okay. So right now, up until right now. The revenue. Is $606,000. $228.12. So the difference between that. Between the expenditures and the revenue. Is $304,000, $798.62. Which is telling me that. That's how much we're in the hole already, in 3 months.
Mhm.
That to me is not, I don't understand it. I don't understand it because. For us to be over $300,000 in the hole in 3 months. If this continues like this. By the end of the year, we're gonna be $900,000 in the hole. If it continues at this rate. That to me is unacceptable. Because that's telling me that. Either these numbers ain't right. Or something's gotta change. Because there's no way that this city can sustain. Being in the hole every year, year in, year out. That's just unacceptable. So if that's the case. Then a lot of these expenditures. Need to be cut off. One way or another. Because we will never get out of this hole at the rate that we're going. Or at the, let me rephrase that, at the rate that it's been going over the years. This has been going on for. Probably 3, 4, 5 administrations. And it's time to correct it, one way or another, we need to correct this. I don't know if all of you guys agree with me, but then again, I'm going by what. The information I've been given. I would like to ask each individual counselor how they feel about this as of right now up until this month. Do you guys think that Matthew can sustain this amount of money being in the hole? Does anybody have anything to say about that?
I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something's gotta give. Something really has to give.
Are you?
So now. Let's go back to this. The council salary.
Go ahead, Councilman Olivares, where are you seeing the 900 and some thousand? Cause I'm kind of looking at it and I'm seeing the actual for the quarter for expenditures is 543, 597, 36 on page 13.
Okay, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But according to these pie graphs, you have pie graphs for expenditure, and you have pie graphs for revenue. So what I did is I took the cost of the expenditures per pie graph and added them up. So if you look at this one right here, this one is $151,104.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 27.
Okay,
Then I went to page 28 and I added $28,029.61 to that other amount. And so on and so on. And so I went through all the expenditure, pie graphs.
but that's a revenue.
Huh?
Page 27 is revenue.
Okay, then the expenditures. That's the way I came up with these numbers. I went through every pie graph on the expenditures. And I added them up,
Can I
yes,
just, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sophie. The general fund is the total amount of expenditures, and then she broke it down
Yes,
per department.
yes,
So it's like the general fund for legislative, general fund for police department, fire control. That's all included in the first page of the page 14, which is the totals by fund, which is the 543. That's how that number. came.
okay, I didn't see it that way. So if that's my mistake, then I apologize.
So then
But-
so then if you wanna,
But
You're on the right page.
I know,
yeah, so you would do, so I think, I understand what you were trying to do, but you probably, yeah, you didn't look at the. So it would be the grand total, and I think you would wanna minus, expenditures from the revenues grand total. Would be-
okay, so it's so this is the number for expenditures,
Yeah, but.
$543,000 roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the number for revenue, page 27. Am I correct? Page 27 is the total amount for revenue, right?
But you go off of this, you should be doing this.
On page 12.
Yeah, no,
You just told me to go off of this.
no, I said go
I-
off of this report, which is page 12. For expenditures. 543,597
page 13.
On the.
Sorry,
actual-
page 13.
Where it says actual, where there's actual 2026, that's where we're at for the quarter.
So what page 27?
Hold on.
What is page 27?
27 is just the revenue for taxes and permits. For every line item that is sitting on top above the pie chart. That's what the revenue is. So those are the numbers, and then the pie chart shows you where your numbers sit for those numbers.
Okay, so
That's just for like property taxes that we get back, excise taxes, public records request, all of that information is on that pie chart.
okay, so we think that number was subtracted by what?
Well, that is just that part.
Percentages?
That's not, that is just one portion. So I apologize that I did a pie chart for the total expenditures. I did not do a pie chart for the total revenue. I broke the revenue up into separate ones. So taxes and permits, PD revenue, cemetery, all of those were separated by department.
So, Councilmember Olivas, so if you go to page 26. And you're going off of the budget, you go to the second to the last line where it says actual 2026, that's where we're at quarterly at the bottom with a 606 number. In revenue.
Okay, this needs to change. Because if I got confused. And I look at the numbers pretty good, but if this confused me, then we gotta come up with a better system. Because we gotta be consistent. So if you're gonna put this on here, you need to do it for the revenue too.
Okay.
That way we can match up the numbers and see where we're standing. So I apologize if my numbers were wrong, but the way I looked at it, that's the way I took it.
Okay,
So we need to be a little bit more specific on this. Because I'm pretty picky with the numbers. You know, and I'm gonna look at them and I'm double checking them, and that's why I came out with the totals that I came out with. So like I said, I'm sorry if my numbers were off, and I apologize. I hope you guys accept my apology. I'm not here to put you guys on the spot. I just wanna make sure that what I'm looking at is factual. Okay? So. The council salaries. According to this. The council salaries for this year alone. Was budgeted out at 41,168.50. What we spent so far is $1,538.35. Right?
Mhm.
So. By the end of the year. The way I was looking at it and the way I figured it out is that by the end of the year, we're gonna be over budgeted on that amount. So that's gonna put us in the hole on that. The council supplies. Same thing. It was budgeted out for $400. And we're already over $22 in 3 months. The council insurance, which I don't understand what that is. Because we're not full-time employees, so I don't know why the council would be under an insurance policy if that's what it is. But even then. In 25. There was a difference of $21,807. From what was budgeted and what was actually spent. That's that's almost $22,000 in a hole right there. A lot of these items, as I'm looking at it. We're in the hole in a lot of them.
So, sorry,
No, go ahead.
Council, with regards to the insurance, the WCIA pool. Is our all-inclusive umbrella of auto insurance and liability for, and our building insurance. That gets divided between, again, it gets allocated to multiple areas. So council insurance is just a portion of that. I don't know what happened in 2024. I wasn't here.
No, 25.
Right, but in 24, when the reports went out and they determined our 25 amount that we owed, the amount jumped.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure exactly what happened with that, but we ended up paying a lot more than we had ever paid before, and that's where you're seeing the difference.
Yeah, it was almost quadruple the amount.
Yeah. But it did go down for 26, and hopefully we'll be able to get it to go down some more for 27.
Same thing with the mayor insurance.
That, yeah, it's
I think.
It's across the board.
Like a health insurance, it's like if,
Liability.
Yeah,
gets
like-
sued or something.
yeah, like if someone is, gonna try to sue you or me or. That's the insurance, but it's just called an insurance, like it's not so much like, it's a health insurance or a med insurance.
That's one of the things about it is that everything seems to be insured.
Mhm.
What's the reason behind that?
Liability. It's just like a business, everything needs to be,
Administration has insurance?
everybody has insurance.
Okay,
Well, it's a lump sum, like Sophie said, it's a
Yeah.
lump sum for everything, and instead of putting it all in one spot, they divide it between everybody.
Mhm.
what is the administration cost allocation? What is that? On page 2,
It is just a line item that we use to, we use it just temporarily to move items when we need to move items around.
It's like a placeholder almost,
like what?
like a placeholder, just kind of like,
That's why in 25, the actual, we moved that money
You know what I mean?
and it's not budgeted.
You're
I
right.
had a question on that too, 75 on that one, 74,000.
Why do we have to move items around? What's the purpose behind moving items around? from one spot to another.
Not moving money, but moving the allocation. Just so when we go in to move, everybody's wages, when we make the adjustment to everybody's wages, we'll be doing a journal entry. They'll be moved out of whatever department they're currently in, and then like a placeholder, and then moved into the correct allocation where we want them to go.
But what I don't understand is what's the reason behind that?
Because let's say, for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say that, you know, she's doing some data entry, well, and she needs to pull a report. In order to get accurate numbers, you need to pull those numbers. For example, payroll. She needs to pull those numbers, all of that from payroll in order to get a certain report. So they have it that's why they make these placeholders so that she can put it in there while she's working on a report, pull the numbers from that report that she needs, and then it gets put back. Because you don't want to be pulling payroll numbers when, you know, you're trying to do like AP or something, like it just, yeah. Does that make sense?
It's-
That's
What I'm-
just
what I'm-
accounting,
what I'm-
that's just accounting, I do that at my work, it's just accounting, it's not having anything to do with, we're trying to, you know.
What I'm trying to figure out is that why were we in the hole, drastically in the hole in 25? And now the way it went in 25 is affecting 26. And then it's gonna affect 27, and so on and so on, if we don't try to straighten this out. And by straightening this out, we gotta make drastic cuts somewhere, somehow. You know, and I don't know if everybody's on the same page with that or not, but those cuts are gonna affect a lot of departments, I think. Because I tend to think that there's a lot of unnecessary expenditures. Just from what I'm seeing here. And this hasn't changed since the last time we talked about this. It hasn't really changed any, really. It's just that now we had more time to go over it than the last time. And because we had more time this time around, we're finding more discrepancies. But what I wanna ask is anybody really making an effort to correct these? Or are we understaffed to where we don't have the right amount of people to go over this and try to correct some of these line items so that we can get back up above the red instead of in the red? Those are my questions, those are my concerns. Because if we're understaffed, then this is never gonna change. I tend to think.
So what corrections do you think that need to be made?
Okay, this is why I'm so adamant. I am so adamant of a forensic audit. Because right now, it doesn't seem like we have the personnel to look into this stuff. And if we do, it doesn't seem like anybody's making an effort. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or throw anybody on the bus, but that's the way I see it. This is my opinion for what I see. And that's why I'm so adamant about getting a forensic audit. If we have to pay somebody to come in and try to figure out what happened and what's going on to make it better for the city of Mapleton, then I'm a true supporter of that. I really am. Because at the rate we're going, it's never gonna change. And if it does change, it's gonna be baby steps. And that's gonna take forever. I would think. So why not get somebody in here and assign them to just take care of everything that happened the previous years? Whether it's 2 years or 4 years or 6 years. This started somewhere, but nobody's tried to figure out how to correct it up until now. And it's time that we do that. As a council ourselves, it's time that we start doing something to make it better. instead of making it worse. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but that's the way I see it. You know, and it's frustrating because I would rather see these numbers in the positive instead of in the negative. You know, we're still gonna end up in the negative at some point or another, but not as bad as we are right now. And not as bad as we have been in the past. So it's time for change. It's time to try to correct these things. Whether it's one item at a time or one department at a time, at least let's try to correct this. And I think that by having a forensic audit, I think that would be very beneficial, not only to the council, not only to the city staff, but to the whole community as a whole. And that's what I'm hoping for. But we gotta come up with a solution to the problem that we have. And the forensic audit is a start of coming up with a solution, that I would think that would be the place to start. You know, because we always hear, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. We gotta have money somewhere. And if we correct a lot of these discrepancies that we have here, then Matthew would have more money than it actually happened. And that's what I'm hoping for, is that Mapton ends up in a better place financially. To where then maybe there can be growth. And there can be progress in the future, instead of being stalemate the way we are right now. Because right now, we're stalemate. Because we don't know what we have, we don't know what we have available, we don't know any of that stuff. And I think it's time for us to all get on the same page. And I'm gonna use this word, I'm not directing it at nobody, I just think that this is the proper word to use. We need to be transparent for the residents of Mapton. And do whatever it takes to fulfill that transparency. At least this way, they're aware of what's going on, just the way we're aware of what's going on. Because them as taxpayers, they deserve that. And I think that's where we've lost the trust of the residents because of that simple little word of transparency. And I think we need to get back to being transparent so that everybody is aware of what's really going on at all times, or at least every 3 months when the quarter reports come out.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just so I understand it also. Here, where do you see, like, I would like an example of a discrepancy from here. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but so I know what you're seeing, like, what is a discrepancy that, you would like to look further into?
Okay, just like when I was talking about the garbage.
Uh-huh.
Those are discrepancies, because we
Okay.
don't even have a garbage department.
Okay. And I highlighted it because, yes, that's something that I'm gonna look into, but, okay,
That in itself is discrepancy. The whole garbage issue.
Okay.
Because we don't have a garbage truck, the city doesn't pick up their own garbage, I know. We shouldn't have to be paying garbage salary. We shouldn't have to be paying overtime for garbage. Those are items that,
So the dump days, where do you guys put that money in when the guys work? I mean, what department? Garbage? Dump day, like pay those guys to come work at dump day, you gotta put it in the garbage department. Basically, how much is that, was that one?
Again, that falls into the allocation issue that we have seen. We have gone through and pretty much cleaned up. Honestly, this is probably the cleanest reports before now you hadn't even seen reports unless it was the budget. So these are probably the cleanest reports you've seen. And yes, there are still kinks, and I agree with you 100%. We need to start looking at cutting costs, but we also need to recognize the fact that every year the cost of living goes up. Everything that we buy, the costs go up, but our water rates have not changed since 2018.
we can't,
2018.
we can't just point this at just,
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. I agree with you 100%. We need to start looking at where we can cut costs. I agree with you on that, but that is not the only issue and not the only solution. We have continually been losing money since 2018 or 2019 because it has been that long since we have raised the rates.
okay,
So the cost of living is going up. Gas is almost $5 a gallon. But we're not compensating or making up anything. We're paying more for, like I used after COVID, plywood, a sheet of plywood was $75. But we didn't compensate our wages or our costs for water or for water, sewer, our utilities to compensate for that cost of living increase. So while we were having to pay out all this money, we weren't getting any additional money. So they go hand in hand. We
Yes,
can't look at
I
one without
understand
the
where you're
other.
but the cost of living only goes up a small percentage. It doesn't go up drastically. It doesn't go up like 20% a year. It's a small percentage.
Right, but
it
we're in
has-
26. It's
has-
been 8 years.
But the cost of living goes up every year.
Uh-huh, and
That's
so
what I'm saying.
And that's what she's
But
saying.
in order-
Raise
I-
the rates.
I don't know if everybody's on the same page as far as raising the rates. Because I will tell you right now. The first backlash that you're going to hear is. We don't wanna do that because we can't even drink the water. That's the first thing you're gonna hear. And that in itself is understandable. I can't sit here and not agree with people that are saying, why are you gonna bump up our rates when we can't even drink the water? I would be one of the first ones to say that myself. You know, and yes, I understand that maybe the rates have to go up. But if they do go up, they're gonna go up a small percentage. They're not gonna go up drastically, they're not gonna go up like 5%. I wouldn't think that they would go up that high. You know, but even at 1%, you're going to get something out of it as far as revenue. I understand that, but. Let's not just look at it through our eyes alone, let's look at it through the residents' eyes as far as what they're gonna feel like and what they're gonna say about something like that. We would have to get it across to everybody that the reason why people feel that the rate should go up. But there's gotta be a real good reason for it, because just to say it hasn't gone up since 2018, that's not gonna be sufficient for the residents of Mountain as far as the rates going up, I wouldn't think. You know, so we gotta, and if we cut back on a lot of these costs, or we correct a lot of these mistakes that have happened over the years, maybe we would be better off to where we wouldn't have to raise the rate of water until the water issue gets fixed. And hopefully the water issue gets fixed before the end of this term, hopefully. You know, but that's gonna be the number one backlash as far as the water rates go. I can pretty much guarantee you guys that. And then how are we gonna, what are we gonna say after that? You always gotta have a plan B. And I think right now. Plan A would be to try to correct the water issue. And plan B is we either get it up to where it should be, or we get it somewhere where at least it's drinkable. And then move on from there. But we need to make the citizens, yourself, myself, the council, this gentleman right here, we're not gonna make everybody happy, but if we can come up with compromise to where, you know, where everybody's kind of okay, you know, that'll work. That is better than not doing anything. That is better than just leaving the water the way it is. You know, and I understand water rates have to go up. Yes, they do, but is right now the right time to do that? I myself, I would say, for me personally, I don't think it's the right time to do that. Just because of the way the situation is with the water. Lola was talking about animal control, I agree with Lola on animal control, in 25. Animal control insurance was $2,240. That was the budget. Page 4. The actual cost for 25 was $30,663. That's what? Over 11 times higher, 12 times higher. It was actually budgeted out for. Right now, it's budgeted out to $12,500, but nothing's been spent on that. So at least that, I mean, that's a plus. But these are the things that I'm talking about as far as Matthew being in the hole. Not what's going on right now within the first 3 months of this year, but what has gone on in the previous years to where we need to figure out a way to bounce back. Building permit fees. In 25, it was $26,000, 260. In 25, the actual expenditure was $30,000, almost $31,000. We budgeted out $27,573, and up until now, it's been $951. So that right there looks pretty positive. If it stays where it's at by the end of the year. It doesn't look like we're gonna be in the hole. But if you look at it the previous year, in 25, there is a difference in money. That difference in money could be going into the general fund or could be going to whatever department it came from or it's going to. You know, to where they can sustain the things that they need to do. And these are things that we need to figure out. Park salaries. In 25, it was $60,530. The actual expense was $73,900 for park salaries. I don't understand what park salaries means because you would have to put in a lot of hours in that park to equal that amount of money, $73,000. I mean, you're talking probably 12-hour days, 5 days a week, to be able to reach that amount right there. That's a lot.
There's a, water, the sprinkler system, is that part of that?
On the salary?
I'm sorry. The water sprinklers we put into the parks, is that part of this?
Not,
too?
no, not under
No,
the salaries.
on-
Again, that was because of the allocations. The way that it is set up,
The way it's set up in the computer.
the way it's set up in the computer.
Is there any way of changing things on the?
I am
Yeah.
looking at changing them.
Yeah.
We are making the adjustments and we will do a journal entry to move them. Move the first quarter correctly.
You know, and like I say, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put anybody, throw anybody under the bus. It's only 3 months into the year, but I think the sooner that we can attack these things, hopefully within the next 6 months, we'll see some changes. Let's say by the third quarter of the year, maybe we'll see some financial changes on here to where it'll be looking positive. You know, but we have to start somewhere. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. I appreciate that you're looking for ways to try to make changes. I really do. And I hope those changes that you're trying to make work out. Even if it's a little bit, at least it's working out somehow to where maybe eventually it'll get better and better and better as we go on. Park benefits. I don't understand what park benefits means. We were $3,000 in the hole in 25 at the end of the year. Right now, the way it's going, we might be under budget at the end of the year, the way, if these numbers stay the way they are, or hover right around that amount. The park insurance, say, here we go again with the park insurance. It was 5 times higher, over budgeted in the red in 25. That's a big difference in money.
Park insurance.
You know, you're talking. What would that be, $14,000? No, $24,000 difference. That money could be used for something else. You know, it could be used for whatever, the streets, the parks, the cemetery, a water project or something. But those are dollar bills that we're losing for no reason. At least I don't think, we're losing that money for. I don't understand where that money's going. Or why we ended up spending that much money.
Can I try to explain a little bit on that one? So in the books have been messed up since 2022, 21. So when somebody came in to help try to balance these things so the auditors can do it. In 2024, they budgeted that much for it. But like Sophie said, in 2025, for some reason, the insurance skyrocketed. That's what, when they separated, it had to be put somewhere in insurance, so that's why it went way up, because it was skyrocketing. They thought they were gonna pay 50,000, we got billed 150,000 instead. That's why it's all off.
That's one of the things that I don't understand is that,
And insurance went up, I don't know if he can talk to AWC, it's probably because all the lawsuits, all things that happened in 2025, that our insurance went up.
but
We don't know, I don't know why it went up,
but those things as far as lawsuits, those were self-inflicted,
it doesn't matter, we got the lawsuits.
you know, but.
They, the insurance go,
But,
oh, you
but
got,
that's what I'm
you
saying,
got liability city, we're gonna take it up.
but that's what I'm saying, those are self-inflicted lawsuits, I mean, but. It could have been corrected, it could have been done right, and you wouldn't have to pay those lawsuits. That's what I'm saying,
Yeah, that was last year, that was last administration.
that's what I'm saying,
Hopefully we don't get sued this year and our insurance will go down.
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out, we're trying to figure out, I wanna figure out ways to make it easier and better. So we don't end up in these situations. You know, and if that means putting a little bit more effort into it, then we gotta put more effort into it. If that means looking at these numbers and trying to figure out where we can cut back, then that means that's what we gotta do. You know, because we can't just depend on them to do it on their own. We ourselves have to help them out too, with however we can, and then bring it to their attention. And say, hey, you know what? I think that if we do this in this department, maybe we can save ourselves whatever the dollar amount may be.
Yeah.
You know,
Insurance, though, we can't change it.
Okay.
Insurance, we get charged, but salary, overtime, spending on supplies, fuel, that's the type of stuff that can be equipment.
look like cemetery salaries, that's the one that I just don't understand. I don't understand how the number can be so high in cemetery salaries.
That's
Good.
what, that goes from the hours that the guys say they work at the site.
No, there's an allocation. The guys do note that on their timesheets where they were at, if they spent the day at the cemetery or water or sewer, but the way that Visions is set up, it does not allow to
Does it match up?
separate them. No, it's a percentage of allocation percentage that we have to input. But again, we are going to change that and do a journal entry to change everybody's first quarter. Those numbers will change.
I think what we need to do, or I'm gonna make a suggestion. I don't know how and you guys can give me your feedback on what you guys think. I understand that you just started last March, and I understand you came into a big old mess. I understand that you're trying to do the best that you can with the time that you have. But you're not the one that came up with these budgets. This budget for 25 was done in 24.
Mhm.
So why don't we bring the person in that did these budgets and have her answer some of these questions? Because that would take that off of your back, because you didn't have nothing to do with the 22, the 23, the 24 budget. Or the 25, you did partly for the 25, but for the 26 budget. But for 22, 23, 24, and 25, you didn't have nothing to do with that.
But she was helping, right, something.
Oh, I wasn't here.
She wasn't here, she just started last year in March.
36,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so you're, the only budget that you were really involved in, Sylvia, was this year for 26. So why don't we get the person in here that made up the budget for these previous years. and have
I
that
believe
person
those
that
were
we already
multiple
discussed it.
people.
People don't listen.
What's that?
I believe that was multiple people who no longer are employed here.
Wasn't Jameson the one that came up?
No.
Wasn't Jameson the one trying to correct these budgets?
Kind of correct.
Correct, and we
Correct,
didn't
yeah.
put them together, yeah,
trying to help you.
yeah.
So then I guess
But I think that like,
we're
maybe
okay.
I can talk to Jameson, she has, you know. Obviously more experience with what's in this, but maybe, ask her if she'll come in and answer questions. We can try that, but. As for people, the people who actually made these budgets. I don't think so.
Yeah, because right now, for 25, a lot of these items were we were in the red in a lot of them. We were in the red in street maintenance in 25.
I
Right
bel-
now, it's looking good for 26.
I believe Jameson did do the 25 budget, but she came in at the very end and with no time to, because it was a last minute, we're not gonna be in compliance. Just throw some numbers together type of budget.
Yeah, because I remember she was the one that said, we gotta get this approved before the end of the year. If not, you guys are gonna get fined. That's why.
I believe she did do the 25 budget.
26th of December or something like that, the 27th of December, finally they approved it. But that was just, so they wouldn't the city wouldn't get fined for it.
Oh, no, we're already in trouble, because we did it in September. 2025 budget was supposed to be approved in 2024, it never got done until 2025, about September, October. What she did was hire contacted back to help get that thing done.
You know, I keep on,
Yeah,
I keep on pointing at these insurances. And I know you said it's allocated or it's what? All these insurances, because here's another one, street insurance. In 25, it was budgeted out $2,700. They actually wasted 43,800
What page you on?
on page 7. About halfway down. For this year. It's budgeted out $25,000.
It means page 8. PD.
Eight,
But nothing's been spent yet.
Done.
Well,
Yeah, right here.
the 7 on the copy, but on the page that Marty has on down here on the bottom is page 8.
Okay, yeah, eight.
You know, so. That's $41,000 over budget. I mean, that's a lot of money, $41,000. I mean, that could be a person's annually income for the year. I mean, that's a lot. And this is money that we're losing.
and so. I'll make sure to. Look into it as to why it is, so I can give you an explanation as to why. That's skyrocketed, if it is, you know, whatever it was, at least. Give you some information as to why it happened. That would be also obviously so we can prevent from happening again.
Here's another one, EMS insurance.
Yeah.
You know, I keep on going back to insurance because the numbers are outrageous. You know, $2,600 budgeted for 25. And there was actually $45,500 spent. Just in those two items alone, you're looking at $80,000 that could have been saved.
Have we been billed for insurance for 2026?
I'm sorry?
Have we been billed for insurance for 2026?
Yes,
Is it still way up there, or did it go down from 2025?
it went down, but it was still,
Still way up.
it was 274,000.
Are all these insurances under the same umbrella?
Yes.
Water salaries, I mean, $40,000 difference, almost a $40,000 difference in 25. Right now, we're almost at $50,000 and we have budgeted 170. So by the end of the year, we might be a little bit over budget, we might be a little bit in the red on that. Because if it stays where it's at. By the end of the third quarter, you're gonna be at $150,000. You know, I don't understand what. It probably doesn't make any difference now, but the cost of allocation salaries for water. $19,820. That was spent in 25, and right now it's zero. So that's telling me that. Something's not right there. Because if it was $19,800 that was spent. And in 3 months, we haven't spent anything. I don't know,
Nothing is budgeted either.
yeah, nothing was budgeted, so that's telling me that. Where did that money go? I mean, what was that money paid for? That's what I'm asking. Because that, that's close to another 20 grand right there. Now we're looking at, just in 3 items alone, we're looking at almost $100,000. That Mapti could have been, Mapti could have saved. That's a big chunk of change. That could be used, for other things. Like I said last time, I might be nitpicky, but to me, these are questions that I feel should be answered. There's another water insurance. Budgeted $24,790 in 25. And they actually spent $50,759. So for this year, we got budgeted out $62,000. But we haven't spent anything. We haven't bought anything or did anything with that money.
Insurance. When do we pay our insurance?
I believe it's at the end of the year. I'll have to double check. I didn't know that was gonna be a question. I did not bring,
And
the information on that.
I'm sorry about that because I should have brought it to your attention. I should have went in there and told you about it, before. I should have went in there yesterday. But, I didn't.
What are you doing Friday? Aren't you?
Friday, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock on Friday. And I'll be available Friday morning. We have don't we already pay oh, how can I word this? An extra cost for water right now? As far as, it's not like a tax, it's like, there's an extra cost for the water, I don't know what it is, I don't know what the amount is, but then again, there's an allocation cost on top of that. So that to me is telling me that somebody's double dipping. Because if you already paid an extra cost already on the bill, and then paying on top of that another allocation cost, that to me is double dipping. There should only be one cost. One extra cost,
Our water bill,
yeah,
we don't pay an allocation, we pay water, we pay taxes.
you might wanna look at your bill,
I have,
sorry.
it's taxes. It's
Thank you.
different
Are you
amount.
working on something here?
Yes,
Oh,
It's fine.
Oh, okay.
But it says there's no allocation thing in our water bill, it's just water, sewer, garbage, and then it's taxes for water, sewer, garbage, but they worded something else instead of taxes.
It's called it's a service charge, I think is what it says.
Yes, service charge.
Had it for each one. For some reason, they had it worded differently than taxes, I don't know why, because of taxes.
What are sewer benefits? On page 10.
Same as everybody else's benefits, anybody who's allocated to so the benefits would be the medical insurance that gets divided and allocated by percentage. So those numbers will also change when we change the allocations.
Page 11. Page 11. Here we go, Will already brought this up, the garbage salaries, that one really needs to be looked into. Because that's. I mean, they budgeted out $12,410 for this year alone. So far. It's 2,649 bucks.
Well, this sounds like a lot for 2 dump days a year. Is that all that's supposed to be, or
No,
something else in there?
the salary and wages, we do record them that way, but it's still, all of their time gets allocated by the percentages that we have.
So they document their hours,
They do.
or whatever they do.
Mhm.
And then they turn that in and you guys, what, just look at it and figure out, okay, you spent so many hours doing this at this place and so on, so on.
No, it's already set in the system, so,
You just type in the numbers, the
Mhm.
hours for,
Per day or.
Yeah. yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying, I mean, we gotta come up with something, we gotta come up, with some type of solution to try to make this a lot better and a lot easier for, for everybody to understand. I mean, I understand a lot of it. But then a lot of it, it just doesn't make sense to me. And if it's the program, if it's the vision program. Maybe we gotta bring somebody that, representative from vision to see if they can simplify it or make it. A lot better so that people can understand it. Because I don't know, I tend to think that even for you guys, it's somewhat confusing. Sometimes, the vision program. Or is it?
Takes a while to learn it.
it does take a while to learn it.
Once they learn it, they know it, and they do it all the time. That's complicated for me to understand, but
Yeah. But I mean, for right now, that's all I have to say, and. Like I said, I mean. I'm not nitpicking, I just feel that we need to have answers to a lot of these questions that we're asking. Yes.
I just see one spot here where we'll save money on the mayor's salaries, and they budgeted, oh, I had a question though. The mayor's salary is a certain amount per month. Which was in 2025, it was budgeted $20,400. Why did we send $21,734? In 2026? Which is only supposed to be getting paid $1,700 a month.
I don't remember what it was.
That's 1,000 more than 1,700, that makes 20,400 per year. But we spent 21,734.58 in 2025.
I actually did see that too, and that is something I was gonna look into. Cause I did count, she only got 12 checks, so I don't know where that other money is coming from. But I will look into it.
So let's say that they budgeted again 21,420 and it's only at 12,000, right? So that was good. Good done.
So I noticed that on these expenditures, there was a gas reimbursement for council members. It was 0. So, did you include mine in there? Because it's not in there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
On the expenditures,
Yeah.
most of them are
For
under,
council reimbursement for gas.
Is there any travel?
On the
they're under travel.
Is it? Okay. I would like some feedback if anybody has any feedback on what I've talked about or what's been discussed so far. To where we can, maybe all get on the same page.
I just have some comments and I know you're new, Ruben, and all this is like foreign. And about being even, ever since I've been on, ever since Mario was here. they've always been in the red. 3 or 4 categories, not individual lines, but categories, always been in the red. That means we're always been behind. When Laura got here, little by little, when Laura got here, I think she hired Jameson and somebody else. Susan, was it Sylvia? Little by little, they started. Like they had like five categories were in the red, by the end of those 3 or 4 years, there were only like 2 categories in the red. 4, 6, 1,
No.
like 2 or 3 categories were in the red anymore. Cemetery's only 1. But the last 4 years, it all changed and now we have like so many in the red. Because spending was crazy the last 4 years. People in the office didn't know what they were doing and didn't put them in the right categories. Jameson came and tried to help put them in the right categories. Are you guys all done with that? Are they all up to date, all reconciled, everything? 23, 24, 25, are they all reconciled? Really? Okay.
So that, what that's telling me is that it's doable.
Yeah.
It's doable.
Little by
We,
little and.
we just gotta do it. I'm not. I don't want you guys to think that I'm expecting miracles or I want things to change overnight because that's impossible. That's not being realistic. But what I'm saying that a little bit at a time, eventually we'll get to where we want to get. Eventually we'll get above the red instead of being in the red all the time. You know, I'm a realist. I understand that it's not gonna change overnight. You know, and I don't expect it to, but
And not in 1 year or 2 years, it's gonna take.
well, that's, you know, that's what I'm saying.
Unfortunately, to do that is. Most further spending. There's a lot of overtime in here. The rates haven't been raised in 6 years, I believe, not 8 years. Right, you said 18?
Mhm.
I think the
Wait,
last
Laura,
time was when Monica-
Wasn't it Laura? 18 was Laura.
I don't think we did. I don't think it was Laura. It was
There's
Monica.
been years, yeah.
I think. it-
And back then it was
Not
scheduled every 6
Mine.
months, it went up $3. Every 6 months, the water bill went up $3.
Yeah.
Because of the new wastewater plant that we built back then. To help pay for that. And yeah, it hasn't been raised, and that's the only place the city gets revenue. Utilities bills. And
Taxes.
the property taxes. And those go up 1% a year. And we haven't got those payments until the end of this month, which should all be coming in.
As
That's the only revenue that the city makes.
I know, I understand. Has anybody, has James said anything about what he thinks the percentage should be as far as the water raise, the hike up on the water? Has he said anything or has?
She,
No,
Jameson.
Jamie.
Oh, Jamin.
Maybe Jamin would, yeah.
Well, there's 2. Jamin is from Gray and Osborne and
Yeah.
Jameson. No, Jameson or Jamin has not said anything.
Yeah.
Whole city out here like they
Yeah.
did with Rachel.
Yeah.
Everyone was up for that.
What's that?
When they did with Rachel, the whole mapping came right here.
Yeah,
Like they say, costs have all gone up, everything's gone up except for our water rates. Unfortunately, we pay a lot already, but we have no tax revenue and whatnot.
So Sophie, you say you're working on all this, how long, I know I'm just, how long do you think before we have it complete?
I'm hoping to have it done before the next, the second quarter reports come out. Just because this month I've got, quarterly reports that have to be done and submitted by the end of the month. And so I know I won't have time, and I've got the, annual report with the state auditors that is due next month. So I've got to get working on that as well, so I'm hoping by the time we do the third quarter reports, I'll have those fixed. I'm actually working on changing the allocations right now, so it'll just be going back and moving the ones for the first quarter, making those adjustments.
I wanna ask a favor. Can you make this bigger?
Mhm.
And then that way, I can see these little squares.
Okay,
The color of these little squares,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Yep,
So if you can enlarge
absolutely.
it a little somewhat to where it's more readable. I must be getting old because even with my glasses, it's hard for me to see the little squares or the color that's in them.
Or discussion?
Now, I only got one question. I don't know how in the heck that we get behind on the garbage. And we have to pay them and we're all in red with them. I don't understand that. Are we undercharging the people or?
Doesn't Yakima Waste, set the cost,
Yeah.
set the charge of,
There's a small increase every year, just about.
Yeah.
From them.
Yeah.
And do we
And we're
not?
still behind.
yeah.
That one I don't understand how we can be behind on that.
We're supposed to be charging the exact amount that they charge us. You guys know why?
I think there was one year where the rates didn't change. So I think that's what
Our
put
rate
us
is
behind
changed,
in the
but they
garbage.
charge more.
So
And-
are they charging per garbage can, or are they charging per weight?
Both.
How do they come up with with the cost as far as what we end up paying?
Charging the can.
Well, everybody has the same size, but
No.
Sometimes
It's,
down
it's
there.
per size, it's per weight. It just, it's more than one thing that
If the lid is open
Yes.
a little bit, they charge you.
they charge you.
Has to be
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah,
If
but
it's
then they
open a
charge
little
us
bit,
600.
Yes.
And the 96, I have 96 gallon or quart size, that's the 3 garbage can size, someone has the one, what's it,
Smaller one.
how many gallons, the other one, I don't remember, yeah, the smallest.
46,
And sometimes
48,
dumpster.
48.
48,
would you guys have an issue? If I was to make some phone calls? Just to get a rough estimate of what a used dump truck would cost? To see if it would be affordable? To where Mackin can pick up their own garbage and haul it to the dump themselves? But we would have to have somebody with a CDL.
We did. Well,
Years ago,
They
we
gotta
had
get
that.
CDL,
Because I think,
then you got another insurance on top of that.
well, yeah, I mean, but. At the end of the year, you're gonna end up saving quite a bit, I would think. Because the person that would be driving that truck. Is getting paid by the hour. So they're, 8-hour day, whatever it might take them, I would assume 8-hour days. It might take them 8 hours to do the whole town. That's just one day of pay compared to what these guys are charging, because according to this, it's what? $200 and some $1,000? Per year, or give or take? That's a lot. If we could look into see what it would cost for a truck. To see if it's affordable, I mean, it doesn't have to be brand new. I don't know what Gravity does with their trucks once they feel like they gotta replace them or
So then.
Sunnyside.
So then, but like the citizens have to buy it only, like they have to get their trash, like get the trash cans and stuff, right? Like we wouldn't be able to
We
use that,
have
that's
to
definitely.
buy
And we need
They're
more
not trash
people.
cans.
We'd need more people, cause
Yeah.
one person to drive and then 1 to 2 people to pick up the garbage.
If we go back to the way they used to do it, yeah.
But also, the Sunnyside landfill is closed, the Zilla one isn't Zilla closed?
No,
It's, I thought the Shane landfill had closed and it was just, Union
it's
Gap.
nice mountain was closed. The little one's open. That's the only one here in the valley, other than the one in Tri-Cities. I mean, it would be worth a try, just to see what the numbers are, and. hopefully it's doable, but if it's not, well, it isn't, you know, but.
Well, we did try for that, maybe in 2022, maybe. We did ask the mayor if she could check into it. And stuff, and she said the trucks were too expensive.
But I mean, it seems like there's a lot of things that we can save money on. To where some of that money could be used, you know, for that cost, but. It all comes down to what it's gonna cost. I mean, if it's gonna cost, you know, $200,000, I mean, that's pretty spendy.
Yeah.
Because it's gotta be reasonable.
Yeah, we need to save money, you know, women. It's like the building should be in-house, it shouldn't be out. Third party.
Oh, the water bill.
Well, we're gonna look into doing that, taking our bills back, collecting them ourselves.
We did, but after we looked at like how much we'd have to, you know, for the envelopes and stamps and everything.
We don't pay for that now.
It's all included.
That's all included in their
We would
cost.
save like $20.
Yeah, I think they did look into that when they decided to go that way. At the time that they take the stuff down.
You have
So I
anything to
think
say?
only the cuts are overtime. Overtime,
Where?
anybody has overtime. Right.
Well, that ain't gonna happen with the office.
Unfortunately, I see the PD, almost $50,000 overtime last year.
With what? Where?
PD.
Oh.
Well, that's not gonna stop unless you guys want them to go to 40. But I don't wanna be hearing complaints, why don't I have an officer here, why don't I have a? They've been working 50 hours a week for a year. And it's not like they want to, they would like to go to 40, but if you guys request that and you guys want that, that's what you'll get. Well, that's the other thing is that you're wanting to cut this down, you might as well tell me now, I'm scheduled to do a test for police officers on April 25th. And if you don't want that, you tell me and I will cancel.
If you get another officer, that would cut down maybe on overtime.
Oh, yeah, once I get at least one more officer,
Right.
the overtime for sure will go down. They'll go down to 40, but right now, to get as much coverage as we can, it has to be there.
How many do you have?
Just two and me,
Do you?
two and me.
Two of them, oh, no. Oh.
No, not two of me, two officers and me.
Okay.
I think
So-
I think for right now, Chief, I think. It's good the way it is. I just hope that. You get another officer. Sooner than later, that way these guys don't burn out.
And that's
You
a
know,
good
because
point.
50 hours a week, that's a lot. I mean,
That's a good point, you know, and it's, you know, I understand, you know, we wanna try to save money. But it's kinda like I've mentioned to you over and over and over. If things were done the correct way from the
Yeah.
beginning on the police department, I wouldn't have to be asking for all that I need. All I'm asking for is standard equipment and for the amount of officers that this community deserves. Just a year ago, you guys had no officers.
yeah,
And I'm trying to get officers that, just like other communities, they have good officers, they have trained officers, not just a person in a uniform that has no clue what they're doing. Those are the people that I'd let go. We want good officers here. And that's why, starting on the 25th, for the first time in I don't know how long, the testing process is gonna be the way it's supposed to be, just like all the other departments do, so we can get the best officers that we can. But like I said, it's it kind of contradicts what you're saying, you know, about cutting costs, because obviously 2 more bodies is more salary, more benefits, more equipment, you know, but you get coverage. You won't have to ask, why isn't there somebody on the day shift on this day or on the day? We will have those people for you. Community members won't be asking you, how come I get it when they see me in town. When are we gonna get more officers? When are we gonna get more officers? We'll probably hear it tomorrow. But I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm not wasting my time. If you guys don't want to hire these two, I mean, I'm hoping they pass the test. That's the one thing. They gotta pass the test before they even get considered. And pass backgrounds, all that stuff. But if I do, I don't wanna go through all this and then, it's not something that wanted because of financial reasons. If we're good, I will move forward with it next weekend. If not, I will call the applicants and tell them it's a no-go.
That's,
Right.
that's like I told you from the very get-go, chief, that I'm gonna be a strong advocate for the police department and do whatever I can within my power to get you what you need so that you guys are able to do your guys' job. As far as cutting back expenses, I would think that the police department would be the last department that you would see any cutbacks on. We can save money in other places, but the police department is needed 100%, regardless of what it's gonna cost. That's why I'm hoping that if you can recruit one or two more police officers, the sooner the better. The more beneficial it will be to all of you guys as far as the police department goes.
And the number one
Yeah.
that it's gonna be beneficial is the community.
Yeah.
Because it's one more officer that'll be out on the road. And, like I talked to Sergeant Medeles, we don't have a lot of applicants. We have 5. We have 5 applicants. If we can get one out of those 5, we did pretty good. Now, knock on wood, if we able to get 2,
Yeah,
even better. And then we're good. We're good there. I think that's pretty, doing my research, I asked Moxie, I've asked a little town called Chihuahua towards Spokane. They're about the same size as Mapton. How many officers they have? They're around that sweet spot, 5 to 7. I don't think we need 7. I think 5 of us is good enough. And then we'll see how things go. And then if for some reason it doesn't seem like it's enough, then I would come to you and say, look, this is why I think if we had another officer, because of this and this and this. If we ever were to get a 6th officer, where I would want to place that person is to be the school resource officer.
yeah,
That's what I would want. And the way that usually works is, and we've talked to the school district, it's just talks right now. But usually the school districts pay 75% of the salary, city pays 25%. But their main focus is the school, whereas the other officers that are on patrol, they don't have to deal with that, they focus on the patrol. So it works out really good, but anyway, as long as we're all on the same page, please pray that we get at least one, but,
Are any of these doctors gonna, interviews this week?
no, they gotta pass a physical.
So they're brand new.
They're brand new.
Not,
Yeah,
they're.
we don't have no
Go to the
laterals.
academy.
They have to go to the academy. We don't have any laterals. I wish we had good applicants that were laterals, because it would be a lot faster. But
as far as the academy goes. Has the mayor or Drew, have you guys come up with the draft as far as what the stipulations will be? In case the city of Mapleton ends up paying for them to go to the academy and then they decide to bail out. To where they're responsible to pay all costs regardless. Because that's a big expense for somebody just to bail at the last minute. It's not fair to the community, it's not fair to the police department, and.
And it's
There's
a lot of
gotta be
money.
some kind of stipulation
It's a lot of money.
to where they're gonna be held accountable for at least paying, if not all of it, most of it back.
You have that already, don't we?
I believe we do,
I think so.
yes.
If we get it or
Yeah.
not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be.
Usually not.
Yeah.
To the stipulations. If you bail out, you're gonna be the cost that you investigate.
Does it say that
I
already?
don't think
Well, they
so.
have a contract that if they leave us, they have to
True.
pay back everything. I'm sorry.
That's correct. And then specifically, it's the cost of the uniforms, it's the cost of the training. They sign an agreement that basically says that that you will stay on the force for a number of years. Typically, it's at least 3 years. And if they don't if they don't stay for those 3 years, they have to reimburse those costs. There's a calculations basically based on service years. So if you were with the department for say 2.5 years, you would only need to reimburse the city that's for a cost for those remaining 6 months. It's not all of a sudden triggering, you have to pay all of the costs back. But each officer will have a contract or has a contract in place that specifies that whole process that they're supposed to sign. They will sign.
Well, that's good. That's good to know, Drew.
Yeah, cause I signed one as well.
How are we doing with the vehicle?
It's pretty much almost done, as far as everything, I mean, so, just a radar has to be put in and that's it.
Well,
Everything
good.
else is, so,
Hopefully we'll see it on the street soon.
Did those block, cameras ever got put up or they're not in use anymore?
they are used,
They are used.
used for what they're supposed to be used.
I think some putting them over here by the track.
There's some that,
Wait.
there's some being put up and then some were being replaced because they were vandalized.
Put them up higher.
That's just that's where they're at.
My understanding, Chief, is that those SWAT cameras are very controversial.
Mhm.
I think. My understanding is that a lot of towns are getting rid of them just because.
Not in our area. I think there's one town, I think Prosser.
That discontinued?
Yeah, was it Prosser?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, right now, I've met with other chiefs and the sheriff. We're kind of we're sticking together and holding until, just because it's not what people or the government is trying to make it seem they are,
Yeah.
that they're spying on people and no, they're not doing that. All they're for is when there's a crime or they're searching for a suspect where a crime was committed and they're in a certain vehicle, they type it up into the system, and then as soon as that license plate hits one of these block cameras that alerts people, hey, this is the car you guys are looking for because it was involved in this crime that was committed in Sunnyside or Mapton, and it's over there in Yakima. You know, that's what it's for. It's not to spy on people, it's not for immigration purposes. I do understand that there were some issues with ICE that somehow, some way they got into somebody's cameras.
Yeah.
So I can't say that it's perfect. Didn't happen with our cameras, so, am I
Sure.
saying that we will not at some point to say we're done? But right now, I don't think that's a good idea.
Mayor and council members, I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but I would point out that this is a special meeting of this council, and what that means is you're more restricted in what you can talk about during this meeting than you do in a regular meeting, meaning we have to confine the conversation to the items on the agenda, the talking of the quarterly report, as well as the discussion about a public works director and or a water operator. If this is a discussion that council wants to take up at a future regular meeting, I would recommend that we stop the conversation now and then continue to have the conversation at that regular meeting.
I was waiting for that, Drew.
Any other discussion on the?
I got one question on page 27. What is fire inspection fee?
The daycares that have to have inspection or for their fire inspection.
Does the county do that or the city?
I
don't think
believe
that-
Northwest Code Pros goes in and does it for us. The code enforcer or code inspector, sorry, that we contract out with.
Okay, I was just wondering about that because
Yeah,
we've never done it.
no, no, no.
You know,
like the daycares have to have their fire extinguishers checked and their evacuation plans checked, and Northwest Code Pros goes and does that.
Cascade used to do with fire extinguishers, which I. think
For
they
the
still
city
do,
probably, but I don't
not
know.
Cascade anymore. Somebody else has done it. Doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I just
probably
wondered-
for the city, but not for the individuals. They can have whoever they want, but the Northwest Code Pros goes in and inspects to make sure that their fire safety plan is correct and
Okay.
up to date.
Yeah, I was just wondering, we never done it. We can $10.
Sophie, what is the city assistance on that same page that Susan was on? City assistance, ESB 6050 for 30,832.
That is one of that's income coming in from, well, we have different ones. That's one of the permit ones. I can't remember what that one is, what the ESB stands for. The Emergency Safety Broadcasting. So part of the taxes that come in from the county. We don't get to choose where that money goes. The county, when they send us a check, they tell us which department or which category to put it in. So we don't.
It's revenue.
Yeah, this whole 27 is a revenue.
Is that annually?
No,
Or is that quarterly or?
this is just for the quarter, so this is,
No, that amount, is that for the whole year or is that just for the quarter? Or-
this one is just for the quarter.
Okay. So does the city get this every quarter or just one time a year?
No, we get it every not every quarter. It depends on where honestly, I don't know how the county allocates their, when they send us the payments.
Okay,
That's something that I'll have to take up. I'll ask the county about how they decide to allocate those funds to us.
so be the tax sales and use of EFF. The second item on on page 27.
It's
Yeah.
the second.
The second item.
Yeah,
on
I
page
see.
27. Tax sales and use EFF.
I think that just got cut off and I can't remember what the rest of that word is, but it's just the sales and use taxes that we get.
So does that go straight to the general fund? Or is that another one that they decide where it goes?
The county decides, they give us the bars codes for that. The general ledger codes, for municipalities, they're called bars codes, so they give us the bars codes in which to tell us where to allocate the money to. I turned the heater down, but it's still hot in here.
Well, that's a good thing, because I mean, that's $60,000 in 3 months. I mean, I should be able to afford something. Are we gonna go to item B? I think we're done with the finances only.
So moving on to item B, discussion and possible action on public works staffing structure. Public Works Director versus Water Operator 2 position and compensation. So, our water operator resigned on Friday.
Terry?
Yes. And so, obviously we need to, look into hiring, but I think this is, would be a good opportunity to, maybe talk about having a public works director with a water operator license, versus just a water operator.
Like we used to have in 2021,
Yes.
2022.
I just think that, you know, that, I think it'll be beneficial for the city if we had a director versus just someone who's water operator.
Kill two birds with one stone. Has it been advertised? Has it been posted?
No, because we wanted to bring it to
And
council
that
first.
position is in our,
It is,
oh no,
yes, it technically still is.
but I heard if you eliminate the position to get rid of somebody, you can't. Right?
Drew, can you explain that?
I couldn't hear Councilmember Sotelo's question. Can it be repeated, please?
Her question is about the position was eliminated, the public works director. And if
So-
they can bring that. But I don't think it was eliminated.
It wasn't eliminated, but it wasn't, it's not been eliminated, but it hasn't been funded. So for example, the Public Works Director is actually a position that is included in one of your union contracts. It's in the same contract as the clerk and the treasurer. And so, you know, we actually have, for example, some parameters for how the compensation is supposed to look. But because council has not funded the position, the mayor doesn't have the authority to advertise and to hire for the position because there's been no funds been allocated. So in order for, if it was council's desire to establish or to move forward with hiring a public works director, it would have to then fund that position. It doesn't need to create it, just to fund it. And the same thing goes with the water operator 2 position. I'm not so certain, and I'll defer to staff, and I think the answer is going to be yes, but I believe that's also a union position. So kind of in the same context of whatever the compensation is, whatever that range, will have to be in line with what the contract says. But because it hasn't been funded, there's no authorization to go out and hire somebody. And this is pretty common for cities and towns who are doing things like a hiring freeze, where they're like, look, we need these positions. Maybe in the future we're hoping to have these positions filled, but for now, due to budget constraints, we're going to leave it open by not allocating funds to fill the role. So that's kind of the dynamic going on there.
I think that's a reestablish it.
Drew, I have a question, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Does this position have to be unionized, or can it be just not be in the union, just? a
Yes.
regular-
Yes, if it's included in the union contract and it is a included position in the union contract, we cannot hire that role outside of the contract.
Okay, but since this gentleman is no longer there, that makes the position vacant. So, because it's vacant, can't we amend the contract or the job description or something like that to where it doesn't fall under union?
So let's take a step back. The individual who left, as I understand it, is an independent contractor. So this is somebody who wasn't a full-time employee of the city.
He was full-time employee.
Are you talking about the water operator 2
Yeah.
position?
Yeah.
Okay. I was told that he was an independent contractor. So take that step back. If you were hiring FTEs, full-time employees, and you've got positions that are covered by union contracts, you cannot amend the union contract itself without the consent of the union. See, there's not if you were going to have a public works director, and that is an official role, there's not a way to really change that role in a way to to say, all right, this role or this person lives outside the contract. You know, that opens up the city to a litany of unfair labor practices. And if anybody could just do that, I think that there would be, not saying that this was something that would happen all the time, but that would definitely be a major concern. So again, for our purposes, the union contract is what's going to define, among other things, the benefits and the salary range for this individual. The question then in front of council is going to be, do we fill the public works director role? Do we continue to fill the water operator role? Or do we decide to do both? And it's, you know, speaking with the mayor, it sounds like and what the mayor is bringing forward to you tonight is the possibility of filling the public works director role and to do many of the job duties of the water operator role. But in order to make that happen, council has to provide and approve a budget amendment funding that role.
Do you have any idea what the going rate for that position is?
I would have,
In the communities like our size?
I don't, council member. I really don't. And I can't even speak to you what the salary range right now is because I just simply haven't had an opportunity to look at the contract. But, you know, so I couldn't tell you based off of what you've approved in your as a salary range for a contract if that is, you know, within the average on the low end or the high end for salaries for communities along the valley.
You girls can do that.
Go ahead.
You can check that out, can't you, for us?
I actually, I mentioned the community Chihuahua, and they're about this, I think they're 23 or 2,400 people. Their public works director salary range is between 107 and 140 something,
Just for that position.
just for that position.
No.
It's going towards Spokane and then you take a veer off towards Lackland,
Based off of the previous,
but it also goes experienced.
the previous number that was on the union book and using the same percentages that the union used for each one of our positions, Marty and I sat down and calculated, and it would be just under, it would be about 78,000 a year. If, unless you choose to go higher than that, which we may need to, but also keep in mind that Mapton does pay 100% of the premiums, the benefits.
We have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Salary.
Yeah, but I mean, we do have a lot of issues with our water, so I think that was part of the previous water operators. It can be stressful.
Thought we had someone training.
We do have somebody training. He's still working on his hours so that he can test, and we are looking for classes so that he can prepare to test for it.
We need a water operator right now, and I think having a director combo would be good. Can we find out what this one's getting paid? What can you tell us? The one that just fits.
I believe he was not salaried because he was just a water operator. So he was in a different, the different section of the union. And he was, I believe, at 31 an hour. But with this discussion between us, we feel like a director would probably be better because right now our wells, our pumps have to be babysat. And that would eliminate having to pay overtime for them to come in on a weekend and check our water and check our pumps.
78? You were saying 78?
Yeah, just slightly under 77 and I can't remember exact numbers.
Was that the high end or the low end?
That would have been the low end.
But you gotta remember, Sophie, that the person that we're thinking about hiring is gonna be doing 2 jobs instead of 1.
Right, right,
So,
which would be the 78 would be the low end.
The low
Yeah.
end?
Because,
Well, really, he'd be doing anything because he's the director.
well, yeah,
He's gonna help out anywhere.
the way I see it is that I have an issue with setting a certain price higher than lower because I tend to think that the person, even though they might be qualified, they still gotta prove themselves that they're capable of doing the job, capable of running the department, capable of being a good leader. And I understand there's good, might be evaluations. How often are the evaluations? I don't know. I would
This.
I would suggest evaluation should be every 3 months. That way at the 6-month period, he's got 3 months to work on anything that he needs to work on as far as his job ethics or whatever. Before the 6 months come up for a final evaluation. At least it gives the person time to work on himself as far as his job duties going, his responsibilities. But
Cause they would be on probation.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
For
And this is,
Yeah.
and this will have a water certificate.
Yeah.
water
Certified.
lights,
Yeah.
Water operating
Certified
license.
and water operator.
Mhm.
But will he oversee the public works?
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
He was here.
Better yet. Yeah,
Leadership skills, something.
I think that's a good idea, but, it'd be nice if we can compare prices to towns kind of like our size, because I understand that over towards the Spokane area, I'm sure the cost of living are a little bit higher than around here or smaller towns like us. So that's gonna play a factor in the wages. You know, but if we could compare prices like, let's say, I don't know, White Swan, Granger. You know, communities like around our size.
Well,
That would give us a better
Granger is
idea.
bigger. MRSC has on their website, the list of all the cities and you can sort by population, so you can you can match cities closer to our population. And then we can reach out to them and ask them what they're paying their public works directors.
But we need
If
to
they-
remember if we combine them, that price for just that, it's not gonna be.
Right, we can also ask what their qualifications are.
Yeah, they have two together.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
Keep in mind also that to be in compliance, we need
water
one,
operator.
like,
Lisa.
like May 13th is our deadline.
I have a question, so this 78 that you guys calculated, is that just salary, right? Not including the benefits?
Not including the
So how
benefits.
much is benefits? Can you kind of
Uh,
ballpark what benefits are?
Medical, dental, vision is $12.35 a month per individual. Mhm.
And we're looking at what medical.
So
dental,
14,820.
How much
14,820 per individual
per year?
per year.
14,800?
Yes. No.
$92,000? Annual income?
So 78 plus benefits. Like advertise or something like that. Cause that's what it comes out to, what would be paying that person.
Yeah,
Both
2,200,
jobs,
92,800.
No.
They cover both jobs.
Okay, no, cover both.
What was Juan getting paid when he did that position in Big Bowl? That was in 2021. Time has passed, but still.
Is that negotiable?
Yeah.
Or is that would that be the Would that be the dollar amount that would be offered?
It's, yeah, I mean, we can.
That's the low side.
But don't they get paid different if like experience or if they have certificates and stuff? Or that would be just where we start.
Well, a water operator has to have the license that we're looking for, so that would be the set price for that license. Now, if we're also asking them for additional certification or pesticide license or something, then in the union book, yes, they do get paid an additional percent for the, but not, I believe not a director. That one would be exempt from those extra.
I mean, as far as his responsibilities go in his, I mean, that's pretty much the job description. And it covers a wide range of things, so he would be able to do a lot more than what you would expect. Just because of the way the job description is written out. You know, maintain accurate records, procure equipment, material services, respond to emergencies, you know, that's a lot, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. Oversee capital improvement plannings, you know, so he's gotta know how to read maps, how to read, you know, main lines and sewer lines and all that. Well, then plus, develop departmental policies and procedures. Implement safety programs, you know, those are all pluses in my eyes, you know, so. I mean, hopefully we can find somebody, you know, pretty soon. Because, I mean, it's a position that needs to get filled. Especially with the way the water situation is right now. My understanding is that water gets tested on a regular basis. You know, I don't know if that's daily or bi-daily or, yeah, you see, so. Yeah, we can't take a chance in something going wrong and putting the whole town in jeopardy, you know, without. You know, these things being done on a regular basis. I'm all for it. The only thing about it is that.
Yeah.
Oh, are we gonna? This would be a contract, right? This would be hourly?
It'd be an employee salary.
Salary.
Okay,
If we
So
want-
you-
if
do
we
you-
want the-
when you're on salary, do you get paid bi-weekly or monthly?
Semi-monthly.
So.
Every 2 weeks? Okay,
Mhm.
and. Another thing that I was looking at. Was that. If he doesn't have certain certificates. That might be required. Are we gonna word it to where? He's gotta have them within 6 months?
Or within 3 months?
Well, I would say six.
I think we need to start working towards it, and then maybe 3 or 6 months, but not actually happening, it's something that.
Because
takes a
I
long
might,
time.
I was gonna say it might take.
Something might take longer. I think before we have to start working towards it. And same as the ones we have now, should they just start working towards it?
That's what I'm saying, I mean. If he's gonna have to have certain certificates. Whether it's a CDL or pesticide or whatever, you gotta give him a reasonable amount of time so he'd be able to take classes or whatever. I would think 6 months would be sufficient. And if it needs to be extended, then it can be extended, but I would set the deadline at 6 months. With, you know. We can sit down and talk about it later, or whatever. And if it doesn't happen within 6 months, what are the outcomes?
Probation will be up in 6 months, so it's easier to get rid of them.
So that would be considered termination?
But, yeah.
Or even if it's past probation.
Even if you
and
like-
The contract, and they don't get it, then you can let them know stuff.
That's what I'm saying, so. At 6 months, if he hasn't, let's say he hasn't gotten CDL within 6 months. With the understanding that if you don't get it within 6 months, there's a possibility of termination. Even though he's union,
That's what the 6-month probation is for.
okay? Okay, I don't. I don't, I, don't- I don't wanna be lenient. With that stipulation of 6 months. Because. I don't know, I just. I feel that, yeah, they might make an effort. Knowing, well, you know what, yeah, they'll give you a little bit more time. I don't want him to take advantage of the situation. You know, because it's an important job. Right here it says, Washington State water, wastewater operations certification, level 2, or ability to obtain within a specific time frame, desired but not required.
And
Do you-
that's wastewater, and he's gonna be a water. Yeah, wastewater is the sewer plants and water.
Yeah.
So wastewater.
So are we looking for somebody that's already qualified for both of those jobs?
Well, at least for the one I think public works.
Yes.
you tied
This-
that.
This one is for water.
Yeah.
I know, but
But
We're
this
trying-
is the director.
Some might apply that have both, and then.
yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying,
uh-huh,
because the whole purpose behind this is to hire somebody
that can
that can
go.
fulfill both positions. Right? Am I understanding? Yeah,
It doesn't have to be separate.
no,
No.
No,
It's just like-
we want it,
that's why he's a director,
yeah. That's the whole thing behind it.
that he can do.
Doesn't the wastewater person have to be over there all the time?
No,
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 I don't think so.
But see, but we do have somebody over there, Alex, we
Alex,
already
yeah.
have somebody over there, so he would
Right,
also,
okay.
so then the reason why is then we wouldn't need to contract out for our wastewater. That's why you want them to have,
So we had
People.
out that training, okay.
yes.
Well, he should be tested pretty soon.
so what is this person's job gonna be once Alex fulfills his
Water.
certificates or whatever it may be, because I know he has, I know he's got a CDL, he has a pesticide license. I think he was gonna go for one more test, I don't remember what test that was,
Wastewater.
but he was almost there.
Mhm.
I think that was the last test he had to complete to be
Yes.
a fully certified wastewater person.
Mhm.
So once Alex gets the certificate,
Mhm.
then what's gonna happen with the director?
Is Alex is in wastewater?
Yes.
We're
Alex,
talking water.
no,
Oh, Alex is sewer,
Oh,
Which is
it's-
wastewater.
yeah,
yes, so Alex would stay there. And so then, the director would just keep doing what he's doing water and
Okay.
supervising and, yeah.
okay.
Be backup if
Yeah.
Alex goes on vacation or is out sick or.
On council.
So when Alex is finalized,
Mhm.
what's gonna happen to Randy?
When we get the director, Brandy won't be working for him.
Okay. Okay,
That's what I meant when I said contracting out, we wouldn't have to contract out for any water, any waste, because the director would have,
Assuming that the director has a wastewater
so at the end of the day, we're saving
certification.
ourselves
yes,
a good chunk of change. I mean, if you really think about it,
yes.
cause now you're only paying one person instead of paying 2 or 3. Yeah. So this needs to be approved like today?
I would like to, just so we could start advertising, so we can put a range, okay? Range for someone.
I have a question for Drew. Drew, do you feel that? How do you feel about what was it, 72, 800? 78, 8?
78.
Seventy-eight to 78. That's what.
What was it?
77 to 78.
How would you feel, Drew, if we were to start at a happy medium between 77 and 78? Just to kind of see what the person says or how they feel about it. So we got room to play with as far as negotiating the wages.
So the only piece that I have on this is that whatever the range is, it has to be consistent with the union contract. As long as it's consistent with the union contract, meaning that we have not, are not attempting to negotiate a wage below, the thresholds that the contract provides, and you're able to convince somebody to come into that salary, then by all means, that works. We just can't, from a liability perspective, we should not be attempting to circumvent the ranges that have been put in place within the contract.
What are the ranges? Well, there is no ranges in a contract for that position, is there?
But there is,
I don't think we have anything just other than what the numbers that we came up with. Where did
But
you
those-
find them?
but those numbers matter. The numbers that the staff are providing to you is, and maybe this is something that we can go back into and look at it to confirm on a step internally for the staff to bring back to council, is we have to ensure that however this position is filled, it is the salary and the benefits that are provided to this individual are what is owed to them per this contract. So as long as that is in place, whatever that, as long as the salary and benefits meets those requirements, if you're able to negotiate a salary that you feel comfortable with, then that's where you can go with. But what we cannot do is negotiate something that is in violation of that contract.
Oh, okay, then at the end of the day, we're gonna have to come up with an agreement with the union. Sounds like to
Well,
me.
Well, you
You-
currently
you-
have an
you-
agreement. You have
What's
you do have an agreement currently with the union. I can't remember if it's a 3-year agreement. I think, if I recall correctly, I think it might actually be, at least for this position. I can double check and verify, but you have an agreement in place. And so
No,
the
we don't-
expectation is that you follow through on the agreement.
But we don't have a dollar amount.
At this point, in terms of walking away or doing something outside the agreement, no, you don't have the power to do that.
No, I think it's confused. So based off of what the number was in 2022 and the percentage change with the CPIW for the region that we use to calculate our hours, it is at 72, or excuse me, 77 and almost 78,000. We can match that based off the union book. We cannot go below it.
Okay, you see, that's what I'm trying to get.
So yes, we can off,
78, between 78 and 85.
So I have a question. You guys said to consider, to remember, we pay 100% of the benefits. So the 100% benefits, is that included in that 78?
no,
No. That's what I'm saying, it's
No.
78 plus, what'd you say, 14,000?
The benefits then.
Yeah.
Okay.
so 78 is the base range, the lowest that we can go per the union.
Benefits.
That's not including the benefits.
And the benefits for how much again, per year?
14,800,
1480, 1400?
yeah. 14,800.
But that's up to the two positions.
It's 92,800.
It's just per person.
It's the position, Vera, don't worry about two jobs.
Yeah,
It's the person.
Each person you employed by the city, that's what they pay them. That's what the city pays them per person. The 14.
So like, you
So-
can have
so-
78,000 plus benefits?
So you're talking at $92,800 annually. With the benefits.
And we have to start at 78, we can't include the benefits in that price.
No.
Okay. It's 78 plus benefits,
So-
92,000.
So your base pay or your base wage would be the 78,000 plus 100% of your premium for your benefits.
I think that would be a good base pay to start with probably the understanding. I don't know how you guys are gonna write it up, but there's gotta be an understanding to where he's gonna end up getting a raise at some time or another, whether it's once a year or every 6 months. I don't know how you guys are gonna. write
It
up.
is written in the contract. or in the union contract book.
which is what's in your.
The cost of living allowance that
But that's
increases
the
every
thing we
year.
looked at, we did not get,
I gave it to you guys.
Yeah, she did.
I gave you guys copy.
That's what copy.
but we're waiting for the other book.
No, I gave you guys both.
What, so what is their annual cost of living increase?
It varies every year. This last year, I think it was 3.2%. It changes every year.
So 3.2% is 3 cents to the dollar.
Very much.
Yeah, a little over 3 cents to the dollar. So if he's getting, I don't know, how would you break that down?
They use the high end of that CPA thing, and they use an area that's not even in our area. And when I Googled it, it was only like 1 point something%. But they already had negotiated 3 something%, we couldn't change it.
Well, the cost of living, I think that's across the board. As far as using the CPIW, I think it was the attorney from my understanding, speaking with the union rep, the previous attorney that negotiated using those numbers.
The last one is when prior to it.
I don't
Oh,
I
that's
don't
okay.
know. I don't remember.
I'm just curious.
He did tell me that his name, but I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, whichever attorney it was that negotiated the union contracts before.
So their cost of living increase would be at the end of a year after the day of hire,
No, the cost of living increase happens annually at the beginning of every year.
at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
January.
Calendar.
And then you get an annual review, which I believe in our union book, it states you cannot exceed 5%. Yeah,
That's for, so,
yes.
see, we voted on today.
So then what's the bait, like with,
78.
and that's it, nothing, no more, like, there's not gonna be like.
78%.
Well,
That's
we
90
can
something.
only get out the probation and depending on the experience or whatever, maybe somebody, we're not start out with. I wouldn't start out. Like,
That's 90, oh,
75
that's
of it.
$93,000 almost.
and the end of one post out. I mean, if we fight somebody, we take it off.
So that's it, guys, that's at 93,000 with the benefits. They don't pay any benefits at all. They don't have
No.
$100 insurance for themselves,
Not
family,
anything.
everybody.
There.
I think that's.
I tend to think that, whoever it may be, whoever you, or however many people you interview, I think they're gonna wanna negotiate that price, I think. Because that's at the low end. But then again, if you tell them, we're throwing in the benefit parts of it, which is an additional 14 grand a year, which is a perk that you don't have to worry about. Maybe they'll agree to the price. But I tend to think that they might wanna negotiate a little bit.
So
So,
we could, with like after their 6 months probation, if they make it, we can,
yeah,
if you would agree to. it.
yeah,
They might think that's quite a bit of work for.
because we gotta take into consideration that this person's gonna be doing 2 positions, so.
But maybe we could figure out a different way to say that.
You
so that
everything,
don't
you
look
should know everything.
No, what I'm saying is that he'll be doing the water department, and plus he'll be doing the public director. It all falls under the same umbrella. Instead of being a public director and hiring a water guy, this guy's gonna be doing both. So that's why I'm saying he's fighting, because of the responsibilities that he's gonna have, he's probably gonna wanna negotiate a little bit as far as the dollar amount. But I myself, I don't have a problem starting him off at 78. Because you're gonna throw in the benefits and stuff, so now he's at 92. per year. Yeah,
Yeah.
But then, let's, okay, so then,
with a stipulation that it will be reviewed after 6 months, or at the 6 month mark, depending on what he's done within those 6 months, as far as if he needed any certificates or, you know, CDLs or whatever. That would have to be, that would be taken into account.
You can get it right away, I got mine right away, yeah, I got it within a month.
Again, from the state.
And this person already qualified, he already had a CDL.
so then let's, we need to, establish then resolution. 2026-17,
On the reestablishing.
yes, reestablishing a public works director position and setting a compensation. Let me get the motion.
That's what I'm talking, so reestablishing. Not gonna be any problems with the last position, last person we had, that eliminated the position because. No, okay.
Here, I have a question real quick. It might not. I don't know, it might not have no value to it at all, but I'm gonna ask this question anyway. If this person is gonna be the building director. So is this guy gonna be supervisor?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna have a supervisor and then you're gonna have a lead.
No.
So Joe
No,
becomes what, just a regular employee?
yeah.
So he gets demoted,
Well, we didn't say demoted.
because my understanding is that he's the lead.
Yeah,
Yeah, but.
well, you could still have a lead, couldn't you, because he's not really the director, is he? No, so. What?
It would just be a worker, a public works worker, I mean, worker, yeah.
But does his pay change? Well, he will.
You can't
No, I
do
You just got the
anything.
title.
Yeah, his pay's gotta stay, you can't take it away,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty, let's go.
Okay,
Can I,
I'm getting hungry.
resolution, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve this resolution right here.
It'll be
I make a motion to approve the
18. or
discussion of a
17.
possible act.
Wait, sorry, what?
It'll be resolution 2026-18.
Was that 17?
I make a motion to approve the resolution 2026-17, oh, dash
You just said-
2026-18. Reestablishing the public works director position and setting compensation. Or establishing,
No, right there.
that's it, okay.
I have a motion, to reestablish resolution 2026-18.
With an amount, Mayor?
Oh, sorry, what's the amount, Ruben?
Starting at $78,000 plus benefits.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by, council member Solis. Second by council member Savella. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Remember, those, you want to say those opposed,
So,
motion,
the next one,
Motion carried.
motion carried. And then no, so then you guys decided to reestablish the public works, so we will not be doing anything with the water authority. It was either resolution or,
but don't wait for you to hiring for both.
no, we're
No.
not hiring for both. We're just gonna hire for one,
For one.
the public director.
So we're just going with public. works.
Certified in
Yes,
water.
yes, yes, yes. So, okay, any other discussions? Any other?
No, I was just gonna ask the chief, what the outcome is on, or what's going on with his body cams.
We can add that to the next
It'll be
agenda.
Yeah.
next, it'll be
That's-
added to, in the next next
Okay.
week.
Next meeting, yeah,
for approval.
I hope so.
Yes. For approval. And then just a reminder that we have our open forum tomorrow
Yeah.
at the library here in Mapton from 6 to 8
At the high school.
at the high school. Mapton High School Library.
Talking into my-
I know, it's not even
on.
Sorry.
Can I go ahead and say that right now, because I'm sure there's people watching this. I would like to invite whoever's watching, the residents of Mapton, whoever's willing to go, and hopefully you can make it. We're having a public forum tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Mapton High School in the library. You're more than welcome to show up. We would really appreciate if the residents of Mapton would show up and ask questions, or if they have any concerns. You're more than appreciated to voice your voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also on that, the rest of us, let's put it on our Facebook page, if we can.
We did.
Or.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
okay, yes, okay, yeah.
Cause that gets out
You can
too.
just print a flyer,
Okay.
I mean, put the
Yes.
flyer, we can copy it and share.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so meeting is adjourned at 8:15 p.m.